Welcome back to the Advocacy Update. I'm Cory, this is Jen, and Military Spouse Appreciation Day is coming up. So other than just appreciating and recognizing the sacrifice and commitment it takes to be a military spouse, what can we do to help them?
Well, at any given time, there's only about 1 million currently serving military spouses. And would you believe it, but they face a 21% unemployment rate. And unfortunately, that unemployment rate has been the same for decades. And so there's a few legislative policies that have been introduced, and there's also from the HASC Quality of Life panel that just came out with their recommendations, several things that would help move the needle on military spouse unemployment.
Why is this such a critical issue, closing the unemployment gap for military spouses?
Well, we know from a recent survey, or several recent surveys, to be honest, from Blue Star families, that 39% or even more service members, this is not the spouses, service members cite concerns about military spouse unemployment as a reason for actually leaving the service. So it impacts retention, it impacts national security from the really big picture. And ultimately, it impacts military family financial well-being, as well as just feelings of isolation and connectedness to your community when you can't find employment.
Right, you're not going to want to stay in the military environment if you just feel isolated from everybody. Well, you've been working hard on this, so what are some of the fixes that we can try to pass?
So the Quality of Life recommended several things, and I just want to highlight 3 of them. The Military Spouse Career Accelerator Pilot was implemented last year, and this is similar to what they do for veterans or transitioning service members in the Skill Bridge program, which allows them to enter into paid fellowships, which is a huge deal, just to get a foot in the door. And that initial year of that program has had overwhelming success.
Right, the placement rates are incredible for that.
Absolutely. So what the Quality of Life panel recommends is that this would actually become a permanent program. We know that there's constantly challenges with transferring across state lines with credentials or licenses. The Defense State Liaison Office has worked really hard to develop these interstate compacts in conjunction with the Council of State Governments. So what this would do is ensure that there's continued funding for that partnership so that we can make sure that states are signed on to these agreements and make it easier for spouses to
Why can't the
transition.
federal government just mandate that and say you have to?
So the federal government did mandate that.
Okay.
Last year in the Veterans Auto Education Act, they did mandate federal license reciprocity. Unfortunately, they didn't spell it out how it was supposed to happen. So if I'm in California with my license and I move to North Carolina has to honor my California license. They don't have to issue me a new one. Try finding employment in North Carolina with a California license. Again, there's only 1 million of us. So the chances that that HR managers across the board are familiar with all of the different nuances that impact military spouses is probably really low.
So one of the other barriers to just getting a job is the childcare, because you need to do the job hunting and it's tough with children at home.
Yes.
So what can be done there?
So the 2021 Active Duty Spouse Survey that DoD puts out showed that on average it takes about 19 weeks to find a job following a PCS move. Currently, there's a program that allows you to have 90 days of childcare, whether that's through a CDC or through fee assistance, when you get to a new duty station while you're searching for a job. There are a lot of requirements to it as well, which make it kind of ineffective. But the Quality of Life panel recommends expanding that from 90 to 180 days. So those are really positive steps that address some of the root causes of why the spouse unemployment issue continues. 2 other things that I'm tracking: the Military Spouse Hiring Act, which would add spouses as a target group under the existing Work Opportunity Tax Credit. That's important because it incentivizes businesses to actually hire us.
Right.
And the other thing is the Readiness Act, which really only applies to military spouses working for the federal government. But as President Biden said last year, we want the federal government to be the employer of choice when it comes to military dependents.
Is this the silver bullet that's going to fix everything?
I wish it was. Unfortunately, military spouse unemployment is a nuanced issue that has spanned decades, and it's going to take a multi-pronged approach. You don't have to be a military spouse to add your voice to this fight. Visit MOA's Legislative Action Center and urge your lawmakers to support provisions that impact military spouse employment. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.